Okay, welcome back to Combat Mission Cold War, where it's all going to go wrong, isn't it? This is the now annual, this is basically a tradition now, isn't it? The annual turn by turn. So this is all about actually playing the game, rather than some of the other videos like the documentary style, where it's all about this is what I did, this is what worked, this didn't work. This is the actual mechanics of playing the actually playing the game. So we're just going to do it turn by turn, and you get to see it all go wrong in real time, or once a day until it's done. This is actually kind of tricky in Cold War because of the scale. So that the Soviets really need quite a lot of kit before they start getting up to the level of same level as capacity as the Americans. The Americans are very much like a platoon is a good unit to be throwing around, whereas for the Soviets it's a company. And that means you need bigger maps, like this one, and it means that the battles should ideally take longer. Now, trying to shoehorn this into a fast, kind of carnage-filled, not too long turn-by-turn format, not great. So this is also something of an experiment. But anyway, we've got 30 minutes. This is a meeting engagement, so there is an equal-sized American force starting on the far map edge. The map itself is a fairly good-sized chunk of the Schweben master map. So Combat Mission Cold War doesn't really have fantastic quick battle maps. So what we've got instead is we've got this. So this is, I can't remember how big this is. This is like 2 by 3K, something like that. Maybe 2.5 by 3. Focused on the village of Schweben. We've got one objective but I've split it in two because I had to come up with somewhere to put the objective. So we've got the road network in Schweben itself, and we've got this area here around this farm. This way, if we split this into two objectives, then the problem we've got is I grab this one and my opponent grabs that one, and then we don't really have any reason to go forward. But you need to secure both to get the points, and that should encourage both sides to advance. Not that I'm tremendously bothered about the objectives here. I want to go find some M60s and set them on fire. So yeah, the terrain is broadly kind of, as you can see, there's a few wood blocks, there's a few streams. We got this kind of confluence in the middle here going into this slightly larger stream. It's tank country, which is why I've brought a lot of tanks along. So you can kind of see here we have the great big open sight lines, plenty of room to maneuver for both sides, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. So the force I brought along, we did make a commitment not to, I don't want to say not min-max the force, but to take whole formations and not add things to it. So what I've got is a reserve tank company task force. So I have 3 companies of T-62s, and this is the T-62-72 variant, which does not have the laser sight. This way we can show off the new bore sighting, which is set to 1200 meters instead of 800 meters, that came out in the version 0.2/3 patch. I can't remember which. We're playing this on Steam, but manual PBM, not auto PBM or PBM+++ or whatever it's called. Haven't really tried that out yet. Don't want to risk it on doing something I'm going to make a video of it, just in case it all goes wrong. So I've got 3 companies of I wish, T62s. It's about all I can afford because we set the rarity to strict. I could have brought T64s, which are considerably more capable. You know, bigger gun, armor that actually works, etc., etc. But then I wouldn't have this many, and you know, it would be maybe a bit less balanced. Because we are doing this just to have fun. This isn't about so much about winning, which is an example of what you might call expectation management. I don't think this is going to go very well. So yeah, three companies of T62s, 10 tanks to a company, so that makes 31 tanks in all, including the battalion HQ, and then a company of infantry, of motor rifle infantry in BMPs. This is the 1P variant, so we have some smoke launchers, which are no longer all floaty because they fixed that bug, and 85s instead of the 83 Saggers, which are really terrible, by modern standards at least. Then backing them up, we've got two Shilkers, of course. These come with the formation because it's integrated, which should hopefully deal with any Phantoms or Cobras that happen to come my way. We've got our forward observer in his vehicle here, and he has, oh, I can't see it now because this is the turn just before it starts. Off the top of my head, I've got a 6-tube battery of S21s, which are the 120mm self-propelled howitzers. They're starting off the game dumping all of their smoke on this line here. So they're not going to be very accurate because it's a long way away. This is like 2.5k maybe. The wind is coming from the southwest, so from behind the camera here. So the idea is that the smoke drifts this way, and what I'm really trying to do here is I want to block off this angle through this gap in the trees. I don't want to have to deal with any M60s to get here, covering this gap here, you know, looking out this way, because my main, well, we'll get to the plan in a minute, but my main thrust is going to be straight up the middle. We've also got my other artillery. I have a 3-tube gun platoon of howitzer platoon of S22s, 23s. I can never remember the Soviet designations, but these are 152mm howitzers. There's 3 of them, and they've got the cluster munitions. So these are high explosive cluster munitions rather than DPICM. Not going to be that great against tanks, even if they score a direct hits, but they will give M113s a bad day with with close calls and direct hits, and they will mess up infantry. And that's dropping on this bridge here because this road is my opponent's main route into Schweben itself. So the plan, I have one company, third company, which is under Colonel McDaff. Everybody's, all the units are named. Unfortunately, I got about 160 odd names from the Adopt a Pixel Trap initiative, and I only had about 70-80 units, so some people just didn't make it in, I'm afraid. I put it all in a spreadsheet and randomized the numbers, randomized everything, and then took it from the top, trying to take into account everybody's preferences. So the quick version is that, or the quick version of the plan is that third company is going to be pushing up here as fast as possible. There's this kind of shallow valley in the center of the map. So if we can get up this way, I don't think I'm likely to get spotted coming this way. Not likely to get line of sight. Move up here into these woods to kind of secure, in the immediate term, secure the flank of Schweben here and face off against this area In the longer term, I want to see if I can punch forward this way as well, if we meet less resistance. Then we have when the camera decides to do what I want it to do, not what I tell it to do. Second company under... it's always the names I can't pronounce. Spucker, who is... second company is going up this way, and they're going to take up a position along this stream. Again, this is kind of continuous, the third company over here, so I'm going to have 20 tanks in the center here. Able to dominate the edge of Schweben, dominate this area over here, and I've got options here, so I can go left. There's a little valley here that I should be able to get away with. I can go left and then stack up for an attack this way over these like rolling fields, or I can go up the middle through Schweben, or I can go right like I said with first company, or third company rather. And then out on the left here I have, this is first company, under Josef Amerikanovich. I think the whole name couldn't fit in there. And they are going to push across these open fields and set up here. So I think I've ended up with one platoon coming out on here just to see what's going on, and the others are going to be down here with the battalion HQ, the FO, and one of the shulkers in reserve. So I kind of have a kind of echelon right or echelon left approach coming here. You know, two companies straight up the middle, one company on the left in support. So from here they should be able to transit. There's plenty of cover, dead ground, mostly sort of. They can pop up here and support on either side of the farm objective. Then finally we've got the BMP platoon under, where is my 4th Company HQ? Under RAF J002. They are going straight for Schweben. So kind of tough to work out what to do with the BMPs, if I'm honest, because on the one hand, those AT5s mounted on the roof are, honest to God, my longest reaching Premier AT weapon after the guns on the T62s. I'm going to be making that mistake all the way through. I wish I had T72s, they're so much better in this time period. So I kind of want them at range, but at the same time they're all full of infantry. And the best place I think for the infantry is to try and contest the objective in Schweben. So the BMPs are basically going to go off, dump the infantry off, maybe leave a platoon of them to support, and then commit the remainder of the BMP company with the tanks, depending on which direction I go up here. So very simple plan. I wish I could afford some reconnaissance elements to go first. But I guess what with this being the Soviet Foreign Legion, judging by the names of all the vehicle commanders, High Command doesn't really care, and we're just going in here to get in the way of the Americans and be a speed bump. Speaking of the Americans, they're under the command of Rice from the Combat Mission Discord server. So we've played 2 times before. The score is 1-1. The first game we played skirmish at Sichenhausen in Cold War, in which he also played the Americans, and I got my ass kicked. In my defense, on the one hand, that is a scenario that I personally think strongly favors the Americans. I think they've got better equipment, they've got the terrain on their side, etc, etc. On the flip side, I really did do a bad job of it. I had a kind of Hail Mary plan that went wrong in turn 2, but by a narrow margin, so we'll see. The second game we played in Combat Mission Professional Edition, and it was extremely one-sided in my favour, so I won that one. So yeah, 1-1. I'm expecting a good fight. I also know that Rice has probably been planning the absolute bejesus out of this, what I'm expecting to come up against, what I would pick, would be a regimental or divisional cavalry force. This way you have your individual platoons are pretty much what 3 M113s with infantry scout teams. That's kind of your probing force or your screening force. Then you have 2 tow vehicles. Rice would be a fool if he didn't pick the M901, which has can fire 2 tows before it needs to reload, and actually fires the ITOW, the improved tow missile, which has better penetration. Not that it would make much difference against T-62s, but and then you have 4 M60s, so probably M60A1s, well, definitely M60A1 variants. The best quality one you can get at this time without going into comedy rarity costs when you're on strict is the Rise passive, so smoke launchers and some of the kind of middle ground improved ammunition. So it's going to be tough. I'm not really sure what I expect him to do. Like I said, I'm smoking off what I consider to be my problem area, which is that if some M60s get in here, because they can see my forces going up on the open ground there. Apart from that, I've done a bit of testing, and I think that some of the important areas to watch out for are going to be these woods here, this flank here. Like if he has some M60s or tow vehicles up here, he can get flanking fire on anything I push across the far right field. He doesn't know I'm not going that way yet. So that's something I would want to cover, and there's also a good position up here. Where are we? Here. Which I really wanted to put a TRP on, but I haven't. That also covers that avenue of approach. It's quite difficult, I think, for the Americans to get eyes on the actual avenue of approach that I'm using, which is down the center here, at least early on. So, worst case scenario I think he can come out at me with here is he starts immediately dropping blocking artillery, maybe some DPICM cluster 155s in this kind of area here. That would block my direct route to Schweben, but I should be able to see that coming. That's if it's coming in on turn 1, I should be able to see it and adjust all the orders, of which there are about 1 million because I've got a battalion to command. And then if it comes in at the 5-minute mark or later, I should be past it. It takes me about 2 to 3 minutes in testing to get up to the village itself with the BMPs. So should be good. Air power, again I've got 2 Shilkas, one's over on that side, one is back here. These are both hanging around at the start on the start line at turn 1, on the turn 1 mark, to get that bit of air defense up and running. So yeah, let's go through the names while we can. So Battalion HQ is DC, which is a bit of a tradition. The FO is Peter, who is elite because it didn't cost much to ramp him up to that. Everybody else almost is regular. The artillery observation vehicle, the MTLBU 1V14, is Radarovich. I'm not going to be able to pronounce that. And that's the battalion command bit. The Shilkas, we have Matt and the Air Defense Artillery Section HQ is Itchy Scoop. And Company 1, where's my team? That's Josef Americano, we went into that. Why aren't I doing it like this? 1st Platoon HQ, Jakob Sauraleta. Yeah, again, not... Apologies in advance for all the pronunciation. Nick Riggs, who I think is the only person here I've actually met in person. That's a claim to fame there. Megalon Jones in the 2nd tank of 1st Platoon. 2nd Platoon, Vladimir Orlovsky. I'm sure there's supposed to be a Y on the end of that. Dom Fluff has made it into the 1st main battle tank, and Adam Kavanagh is in the second one. Third platoon, we've got Adler 6768, Tom's Sim Shack, and Tadapa Mudkip. Second company, Spooker, of course, we've done that one. Keeling Derogi, Kaufman Johnson, Colm Fox, Top Hat, Mecha Maestro, Joe Callan, Muzz P, Sludge, and Mabutu. And then following up, Colonel McDaff we did in 3rd Company HQ. Then Fishbowl, Justin Davies, Gunnar Sabo Tank, which is ironic, Noah Weston, the Sid 42, Sergeant Spook, Perlican Taco, Nil Kwan, and Volcatius. And Raft J002 in the BMP Company HQ. James Ford commanding the grenade launcher A-Team. Baklanov is an AI-generated name because the game automatically splits the grenade launcher team into 2 sections, and I can't control the name of the second section, so that's great. Driving around the company HQ is Glenn Chen, and driving the grenade launcher squad around is Ivan Ivanovich Ivanovsky. See, I can remember that one because it's John, son of John Johnston. The machine gun platoon HQ, I never know what to do with the machine gun platoon. They are sort of out in front at the moment. They are going to be my... that's my reconnaissance force, basically. By ad-libbed organic reconnaissance force. That's commanded by Joe Hartley. And then on the MGs we have Skydog, Kappa, Camphor... I can't remember the rest of that, so you're just Kappa. Psy 15, Natalie Lyric, Martin CF, and Winter. And the first vehicle is Roman Buni. Yeah, that's not happening. And John Goshevich, I think. Again, like rolling apologies for the pronunciations. Then first platoon we've got Alexei Pavlov, Jack 647, Catacomb 007, and Blue Lobster, being driven around by Universal 101. Heater on max setting, which is probably the most apt name for a BMP I've ever come across. That's going to get tested. And Zeriander. Second platoon we've got Axel Palman, Laro de la Hoz, Tobias Maximus. I feel like there should be another B in there, but that's probably my spelling. Macas, and they're being driven around by Kyle Reese, who is on secondment from TechCom, Antos HQ, and Giuseppe Fazio. There might be more to that as well. There's only a limited amount of space I've got for the names. Third platoon is Kratka, Vincent Curry, GDI Rifleman Connor, also on secondment from the future, James Longhurst, and they're being driven around by Mosh, Clockwork Rex, I like that one, and Vinyl Derp. And we're back to the beginning. So yeah, this is the first turn, and I think I've just got to press go now. So here we are. The camera is currently facing west. Is that really west? Yes. Yeah, so we're attacking from north to south, basically. The trick is always getting the camera somewhere where I can actually see what's going on, because I want to be able to see the spots on this side, if we get any spots, which I kind of doubt it, on turn 1. And I want to be able to see the progress these things make. So we'll give it the overview. Wait for everything to explode. This is the other problem with the large scale games. Big map, lots of units. It's quite hard to follow all in one. Like, I can't hear anything right now. Ground condition, incidentally, is damp. So there's not going to be a lot of dust thrown off. Temperature is +1 degrees C. It's clear, but as you might have noticed from the soundtrack, it is extremely windy. And there's the smoke going in. That should build and develop. There's the DPICM on the back of the village. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're having too many traffic issues right now. He said, foolishly. So yeah, this may be the only turn in the entire thing, in the entire battle, where nothing exploded. That is not going to last. So yeah, it looks like everybody's making good progress. I did put the HQS sound mod on for this, as well as Finn's unit icons. Those are the only two mods I've got going. The unit icons always get that one. It's so much easier to tell what things are just by the shape of the icon, and the HQS just speaks for itself. It sounds amazing. But yeah, that's as successful a first turn as I suspect I'm ever going to get. And look at him go. It's always the BMPs out in front because they're faster. And oh, that's amazing jaggedy shadows. I've never been able to fix that. But yeah, off we go to free the people of Germany from their decadent capitalist masters. Yeah. So, speaking of the actual mechanics of this, the way I've set everything up is after what happened in my game at Sichenhausen, which almost made it into a video, but I can't quite get it to work properly for me, is I advanced in a pure column. So all of my forces were lined up one behind the other, and at one point the lead one got hit by a tow and got knocked out, and then the other ones just piled into the back of it. I didn't think Rice would be able to get eyes on me. They piled into the back of it, I got a roadblock, and everything in the roadblock got destroyed by those bloody M901s. So here, we have a kind of... So if you look at third company, we have this kind of echeloned column thing, so each platoon, so, you know, third platoon here, it's going off in a straight line, but we have spaces, you know, we're basically arranged diagonally. So that if one of these vehicles gets knocked out, it's not going to stop the other ones. And the same, mostly with the BMPs. Nothing's gotten shot at, so I don't know how good an idea this is. Haven't heard any aircraft. That's good and bad, actually. So on the one hand, I want to see the Shilkas shoot stuff down. And I would really love it for Rice to have spent points on aircraft, because they're really expensive. I thought about... Oh, that was the artillery going off. Oof. I thought about bringing the Hind Swarm in, but they're just not worth it in this. So to do that, the Hinds themselves are pretty cheap, just the strafing ones, even the ones with just the rockets, but they're not tremendously effective. You also, you know, it might be worth spending 100 points on the Hinds themselves, but then you also have to spend another 100 points on a forward on an air controller for them, because you don't have the same flex. Oh, yeah, there's that smoke doing exactly what I wanted to do. That's perfect. Might need a little bit more over here, but that's fine. Yeah, it just clumped up there, didn't it? So then you're talking about 200 points, and that's like, I'll just bring another tank for that, and you know, especially with the cooldown times the Hinds would take, or any air power for the Soviets, you've got like one go from the pre-battle setup, and after that it's going to take 10-15 minutes minimum to bring them back in, and it's not worth it. It's not worth the wait in a half-an-hour game. I'm already reticent enough about using the artillery, the smoke here, because it's going to take me a long time to bring that in again once it's done, another 10 minutes. Even with the crack Peter on FO duty. Yeah, that sounds so cool with HQS. Oh, yeah, there's the cluster munitions. Let's go watch that one. Yep. Awesome. Nice. The other issue here, so I made it damp. I can't remember why I made it damp. Probably because it's supposed to be January. Yeah, why did I make it damp? If I'd made it bloody dry, which admittedly wouldn't make much sense for a winter game, then all my artillery, my conventional artillery, non-smoke, would be kicking up massive clouds of dust, and we're not getting that. So I'm kind of hamstringing myself a little bit here. See, we're getting a bit, but, you know. That sounds so cool. But, it disperses very quickly, so I'm not going to get much obscuration from the smoke. But yeah, I've already kind of babbled on too long. That's turn 1, which is the setup. Next turn, not impossible, we might get some contact, but everybody is just about moving into position. That's excellent. So let's sort that out. There's no air power around, so we can just bum rush the Shilker. Matt up here onto this reverse slope where he has a good view of the sky. Yep, up there. And he's going to be safe from any direct fire. And we'll follow up with the with DC and Radar Radovich and Peter. I'm trying to keep the battalion commander and the FO together. Mostly because that way they can, in theory, communicate a bit better. But it is quite a high-value target. Yeah, let's bring the Shulker up. Itchy Scoop. It's the recon platoon out in front. Sorry, the MG platoon. Everybody has adequate orders here. Okay, this platoon might need to go a bit further forward, right? Hopefully without getting stuck in the mud down there. The one, there we go. Let's get Clockwork Rex up there. So one of the issues here is actually the kind of what do I do if I suddenly get a contact out front? And it's probably I don't know actually. I'll have to judge it depending on the angle that contact has. But you can see if I turn the smoke off, you can kind of see how this chunk of empty ground is something I'm worried about. That's why I've got this. But I don't think Rice is going to be able to see me from any of these places that he can get on like turn 1. So you can get up to, definitely get up to here. I'd set up here because you can cover that whole flank off. Like, stick a tow vehicle there. Stick a tow vehicle here. Wrong one. There we go. And again, you can't really see my stuff. It's all in the dead ground. Even when you take the trees out of the equation, which I have learnt the hard way. It's winter. These do not constitute actual, reasonable, sensible concealment. Where else can we get on turn 1? We can get here. Again, sort of see a couple of those BMPs on the high ground there. A couple of tanks maybe, but you know, you're never going to hit that from here. This tree line here, I don't think you can get there, but again, I'm behind. Yeah, I'm trying to use the terrain here to close the distance to Rice so I can get in his face. How good an idea that actually is, I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, I don't think I need to adjust any of the other orders. I don't think we're in line for some terrible traffic the BMP, the BMP Company HQ. You guys need to get moving. Come on. Dabai, dabai, dabai. Straight up to the front. This is the other advantage of all this open ground, which is that the orders can be very simple. Which helps because I got 40 odd vehicles to 50 odd vehicles to sort out. But yeah, there we go. Let's see how we're doing with the RT. 3 more minutes of smoke coming down, and that's gonna basically 90 minutes on the a medium max mission for the cluster. So that's basically going to keep going for almost the whole game, which is perfect. Yeah, we will see how this situation develops. We might even see something in the next video. We'll find out. Let's send that back off to Rice and see what we get.